It's a great pleasure to have you here today with Crossline Education. So this is our episode 5. It's a great pleasure to have you, a student of NWPU, Northwestern Polytechnical University, to receive our interview. So to begin with, would you mind introducing yourself to all the audiences in front of the screen?
All right. First of all, thank you very much for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachit Chaudhary, and my Chinese name is Yitu. Currently, I'm studying at Northwestern Polytechnical University. My major is aerospace engineering, and I'm a third year undergrad student.
So we have a list of questions from all the students and all the members of our Discord group. So to begin with, the first one that we would like to ask is, what is the admission interview like? What specific questions did people ask you during the admission process, or do you have an interview up actually? And if so, did the interview focus on academic parts, or maybe just focus on your background part?
All right. During my time of the interview, so of course, at first, we do have an interview. And at my time of the interview, they did review my personal statement and personal letter thoroughly. And then since I said that I want to do the research into the rocket propulsion field, they did ask me some specific questions from the propulsion fields, let's say. So they are kind of very specific to the knowledge and to what motivation uh, and the contributions do students bring into the fields to bring into the university.
Good one. So next question is about the admission process itself. So based on what you know, how competitive is the school or maybe your major? And what are the main criterias for admission? Say, for example, is GPA or maybe HSK or maybe, this year CSCA? What's your idea on all sorts of things?
So, in general terms, let's say all the universities, including mine, they do focus on the merit basis. So, the higher the GPA, the better chance they have to get the admission. But also, the another thing is the timing. The earlier you apply, the earlier you get the admission, and the higher chance you get the admission if you apply early. And also, taking into consideration of GPA, let's say. Uh, they require the grades maybe above B. It's kind of really competitive, yeah.
Do you know any maybe specific number or maybe like among 100 applicants, how many would be admitted based on your estimation?
Oh, so they don't really publicly publish this kind of results, but let's say for my field, when I was applying to this university, there were 20 applicants applying for the same major, aerospace, but then only 8 of us or 9 of us were selected for my field only. I'm not really sure about all the international students, how many did they apply, but yeah. Among the 20 applicants, only 9 of us were selected into our department.
Okay, so back to the topic. What about the scholarships? For example, how competitive is the scholarship, and what are the scholarship opportunities, or is it just limited to English, Chinese taught, or do you have any English taught options?
Uh, in in fact, the scholarship provided by our university is mostly for the international students studying in English language. So it's not too hard to get the scholarship, but at the same time, we need to take into consideration uh, the timings to apply. So the faster you apply for the admission, the faster you get the admission. And at the same time, we don't need any extra application for scholarship. So let's say if you are applying only for admission, you are already eligible to apply for the scholarship. I mean, you are already applying for the scholarship. So the earlier you apply, the earlier you get the admission, and the earlier you get the scholarship and higher the amount.
So this is like first come, first serve basis, right?
Yes.
So this is true, right? If you apply early, you have better chance. If you apply late, they might just reject you or something.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I always thought this is not true, so it turns out to be true. All right. Yeah. Let's just say we have other questions here. How hard is it to keep the scholarship, especially for school-specific presidential scholarship? Do you have to be like have a very high GPA also?
Um, More than high GPA, it's like um, how do you say it? 10% of the international students get the first prize scholarship. So let's say in my batch, if we have 300 international students, then the 10%, that means the 30 of the students will get the first prize scholarship. And the other 20% will get the second prize. And the other 20 or 30% will get the third prize scholarship.
So, in order to maintain all sorts of things, uh, sorry, I'll just come back to this. Is it difficult to maintain the required GPA? And if you fail to do so, you have to pay for the tuition fee, right?
Yeah. So, in terms of difficulty, I must clarify this because we are international students, but we are not studying together with the Chinese students. So, we are not competing with the Chinese students, right? Only the competition is only between the international students. So, in this sense, even our courseworks are not as much as Chinese students, so it's not too difficult. But of course, you still need to compete with the the large number of international students. Mm, yeah.
Speaking about which, how I would just continue with two questions at once. So first of all, will people fail classes? And secondly, how many hours would people have to spend every day to study on average?
Hmm. Interesting question. People actually fail. Yes, they do fail. And in order to keep a higher GPA to continuously, perform really good academically, I think 3 or 4 hours is enough, at least to perform, a B grade, to score the B grades. 3 to 4 hours is enough. But of course, if you want to perform even more, even high, then you need to study even more.
Yes. In terms of this, what's your major again? Is it like aeronautics?
I'm astronautics. So let's say aeronautics is
Sorry,
basically,
astronautics.
yeah, aeronautics is basically the study of, the aircrafts like aeroplanes, drones, helicopters, or something. But then aerospace is more like space focused.
Yes. So does it require a lot of math, like mathematics? And do you think, how do you feel about it?
Um, yes, we do require a lot of maths, but all those maths are taught as a calculus course. So, and also one of my suggestion is before completing all the calculus, not to take any major specialized courses. And it really makes it hard if let's say in the first year or in the second year before completing all the calculus courses, you start taking the aircraft structural mechanics or something. Let's say the major specialized courses. It's not really recommended to take it in the first year or in the first half of the second year.
Okay. You also have to do a lot of experience, right? So most of our interviewees would say the lab facilities in China are much more better than maybe some other countries. What do you think about that?
I think that's actually true. I think that's actually true. But at the same time, you need some heavy guidance from the professor, at least from the guider who could speak uh, a good English that you can understand. But also the thing
Yes.
is, in the labs, let's say besides professor, there would be mostly other staff members who might not be able to speak English quite fluently if until and unless the staffs are the students, like masters or PhD students. But then
Well,
since most of the staff members are kind of PhD students, it's really easy.
speaking about which, so most of the professors do speak good English, right?
Yes, mostly.
Okay, here's something that might get a little bit sensitive. So NWPU is also considered as one of the universities related to, well, specific technologies. Will these have any influence if students want to chase their future studying? I mean, for international students to chase their future studying in America or maybe in Europe, based on what you know right now.
All right. So this is kind of really interesting question. Like even students like us, we used to ask this frequently even before coming here. So NWPU is a part of
Yes,
seven
seven
sons
such.
of defense. So we also call it seven pillars of national defense of China. In that sense, only for the Chinese students, it's prohibited for the students who graduated from this university to go to USA. But for international students, it's not prohibited. There's no restriction to international students. We can still apply to US universities as an international students who graduated from this university.
Okay, very well. It's good to hear that. And um, also about the school. So how good is the reputation, especially for STEM subjects? Is it considered as one of the most prestigious, maybe in certain domain?
NPU basically is an engineering focused university, to be honest. And even among engineering, the aeronautics, the astronautics, and the marine engineering are one of the most reputed, uh, the fields of this university. In that sense, let's say if within China, if I say I studied from NPU, they really have those priorities to us as an NPU graduate. So, and also it's one of the most heavily funded universities across China, and the research outputs are as impactful. So, yep, the it lives up to the reputation, and mm, you know,
Also, I mean, for certain schools like HIT Shenzhen, I know that you have to finish HSK4, right, to graduate. Do you have certain similar requirements in NWPU?
oh yeah, that's true. Even us as an international students, we do need to finish HSK4. So I already finished my HSK4. Yeah.
Yeah, good to hear that. But do you know, like in real life, do you know maybe if there is someone who cannot get HSK4 and it was declined of graduation? Did you have you ever heard of something like this?
Not really. I mean, they do kind of skip the HSK, how do you call it, the Chinese class in the university, but then later, maybe in the third or the fourth year, they do complete it. So I really haven't heard of any cases or any students who have skipped HSK 4 before graduation. So they must have to.
Okay, next question. So, like, how big is the international students community in your school? I mean, for many students, they might feel lonely because they're away from home and really don't know any friends. And another question, I just put it all together. I mean, do Chinese students play along or maybe have many interactions with international students here?
Hmm. I mean, as far as I know, the number of international students coming annually is kind of increasing. So let's say for my batch, there were just a less or just more than maybe 200. It's like 218 or 220 something students. But then the other years, it kind of increased by 300 and then 350 or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of increasing. And as for interaction with the Chinese students, Chinese people are really enthusiastic about communicating with the international students. So let's say even if I can speak Chinese, while interacting with the Chinese students, they want me to speak English. it's not that I want to interact with them in Chinese, but then they want to speak English with us. They want to practice their English with us. So they are really enthusiastic about the interaction with the international students. And let's say I'm a really good badminton player. So whenever I go to play badminton, if they see me playing like alone, they would really invite me to play. Let's play together, something like that. So yeah, the interaction is really good.
It's very good to hear that, Bill, especially because so here comes another two questions rising from this. So first of all, your school is increasing the intakes of international students every year, right? And secondly, does your school have international students office and do they provide abundant help to you?
Yes, they do have the international students office and they have the separate services mainly oriented towards the international students.
So also for international new intakes, so they have more and more international students every year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the main majors that they take, actually, if you know?
Um, all right. So there are a lot of programs NPU offers in the English programs. Mm, the only programs that I haven't really heard of is the medical, let's say the MBBS, dentistry, nurses or something like that. But then we do have biotechnology kind of courses. And in the field of engineering, I think we do cover a lot of engineering courses like mechanical engineering, electrical, electronics, informatics, computer sciences, aeronautical, astronautical. But only last year they have closed the admission for marine engineering. But before that, they used to have it. And in even in business, they have a lot of business courses. Maybe not the arts. Yeah.
So, for example, like taking yourself as an example, what is your typical day? Like when will you get up and when will you go to school and when will you go to the library, etc.?
All right, so it depends on what year you are studying in. So basically, in the first year and the second year, it's the course loads are kind of really heavy. Your schedule can go up from 8:30 a.m. in the morning to 8:40 p.m. in the evening. But then because I'm in the third year right now, the course loads are getting kind of a little bit less. I kind of have just one or two courses a day. But then in the first or second year, the calculus, the physics, a lot of foundation courses. They teach a lot of foundation courses. So in let's say overall, I can say the first and the second year are kind of really heavy, but as you progress through third and fourth year, the schedule kind of seems a little bit less. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Next question. How do you feel about Xi'an as a city? Do you feel like it's interesting or maybe and also or maybe surrounding areas, other cities? How do you feel about it?
Mm, all right. Xi'an is kind of culturally diverse city, to be honest, and I think it was also one of the center for Belt and Silk Initiative, right? And the culture, the history is really great for this city. As for the surrounding, there are a lot of mountains, even the snow mountains, so you can go hiking, trekking, even like skiing or something like that. And it's not as developed as Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, but it's not too poor as well. It's like a 8-tier city. And then the facilities are great, the services are great, the foods are cheap and also like really diverse. Yeah. And also it's one of the most Muslim-centered city across China, maybe besides Xinjiang or something. So it's also Muslim-friendly city.
Okay, thank you so much. In terms of schools, so when you choose dormitory and also when you choose classes, do you have to be really quick before anybody else occupy your spot?
Oh, at my time, there was no such. services like booking the dorms quickly or something, like before coming here. Only after we came here, we were assigned the dormitory. But then nowadays, it's like the number of students are kind of increasing, but the number of rooms provided are kind of still limited. So I think they have introduced such facilities, and also they increased the number of students in just one room. So previously it used to be two students per one room, but then right now it's like three students per one room. But the facility is still great, I'd say. But for masters and PhD, for master students, there are still two people in one room. For PhD, they do provide a single room for them.
Great to hear that. And another question. So, how is the canteen? Like, how is the food quality? And do you have many various dietary options? Because, many students have different options for that.
As I previously said, uh, the food is kind of really diverse, and there are also many halal restaurants even inside the university. And like for me, I'm not a Muslim, so I can eat at variety of restaurants. Even I don't really need to take into account of is it halal or no. But and the flavors are like really, how do I say it? It's like way too mixed up. I can eat non-spicy one day, I can eat mala another day, and then the flavors are really diverse. I really enjoy eating the Xi'an food.
Okay. Well, in terms of career choices, I mean, you're studying something more like STEM and the basic research, if I was not wrong. So, what's your next plan on your career development, and what are the main choices for your classmates? I mean, not just this major, for their future career choices.
Um, Most of my friends, they do want to pursue masters after graduation. Like even for me, I do want to continue my masters and then research into maybe I could pursue in the same university, or maybe I can go further into another country. And as for the career prospect, I would say, as I said, because the university is already reputed, right? So even the companies inside China, they have been hiring the international graduates from this university. I've even seen my seniors doing that. So I don't think there's much of a problem like working in China as a graduate of this university. And as for me, because I'm doing a basic research with one of my professor. So she has also kind of offered me to pursue my master's here. So it's a really good opportunity.
Okay. Speaking about which, so like for many STEM majors, based on what I know, during when you are already, you have to like find maybe a specific professor that's willing to guide you during even for the bachelor study. So how do you feel about the process? Is it smooth? Especially because as international students, sometimes it's not that easy to find one. How would you feel about the whole process?
All right, there are two aspects to this. One thing, the some of the Chinese professors are not willing to hire international undergrad student as their research, the interns or research students. But at the same time, there are some professors who are willing to accept international students as their research interns. So, first thing, it's kind of difficult to find the professor. The second thing, if you find the professor, the process is really easier than the Western countries. Like, we don't need to really go through the formal application process or something. We just contact the professor, and the professor is really willing to guide you.
Thank you a lot. So the here's another one. How are what are the main nationality for international students in your university?
All right. I think the highest number of people come from maybe three countries. Nah, I think five countries maybe. Morocco, Indonesia, Russia, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. They, the students from these five countries heavily dominate the number of international students. And I think in the minority group, let's say Nepal, um, Myanmar, Thailand, and some Middle Eastern countries like I think Turkmenistan is like the Central Asian countries also comes. There are a lot of Central Asian countries as well, but Central Asia is like a combination of mm, sorry, Central Asia is a combination of five different countries, right? So I cannot really say that there are a lot of students from just one country, but there are a lot of students combined from the Central Asia as well.
Okay, final question. So, uh, if you can share any thoughts to future applicants, no matter if they're applying for NWPU, maybe for other Chinese universities, what would you share to them? Say, for example, what are the things that you wish you have known before applying?
The first major regret is try to apply as early as possible. It doesn't really matter if your GPA is really low, as long as you fulfill the minimum criteria to apply, you just apply. Like, let's say if they publish the announcement of admission on maybe February 1 or something, within February, just apply. It doesn't really matter if your GPA is too high or too less. It doesn't really matter if you want to improve your resume, you know, just apply. The timings is the greatest thing for the application. If you apply early, you get the admission early, you get the highest amount of scholarship. And as for the maybe master's or postgraduate students and anywhere at all, try to find the professor with who has a good track record of guiding international students, because it's not really about who has done a impactful research, but it's more like who can guide the students like smoothly, who can make your postgraduate journey like a smooth, who can guide you through all the processes without mm, and also the English speaking plays a heavier part in China especially. If the professor can speak a really good English, you can understand everything.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you again for taking for your valuable time and taking part of our interview and wish you all the best in the future. So again, thank you for taking this. Yeah.